And that shook me because we just walk, we didn't do anything, and we just giving some talk. How could this person say that I saved her?
Welcome. We had the pleasure of sitting down with Bhante Pannakara of the Walk for Peace monks a few weeks ago, and he gave us 2 hours of his time. So we've divided that interview into 2 parts, the first of which already aired. You can find a link in the description to this video. And this is part 2 of that quite profound and meaningful conversation. For an introduction to Bhante. Bhante Pannakara is a Theravada Buddhist monk and former IT engineer who transitioned from a corporate career to a life of mindfulness and service. Born in Vietnam and educated at the University of Texas at Arlington, Bhante Pannakara immigrated to the U.S. in 1997 and took full ordination in 2010 in the lineage of the Most Venerable Ratanaguna, the last direct disciple of His Holiness, the Venerable Vang Sarakita, founder and first Sangharaja of the Vietnamese Theravada Buddhist Sangha. In 2020, he launched the Chethiya project to preserve the Tripitaka in a monumental marble stupa complex, a vision furthered by his 112-day, 2,100-mile ascetic Dhutanga pilgrimage across India and Nepal. That journey, chronicled in his memoir, The Footsteps of the Buddhist Monk, laid the foundation for his most recent undertaking, leading the only very recently completed 2,300-mile, 108-day Walk for Peace from Texas to Washington, D.C. He currently serves at the Huangdao Vipassana Bhavana Center in Fort Worth, Texas. And it was a really meaningful discussion. We hope you enjoy it. Bhante, speaking about the part of the walk where you began to encounter hundreds of thousands of people, and I remember seeing clips of this on Instagram and online, and just it was so inspiring to see these hundreds or thousands of people following or giving flowers on the side of the road. Do you have 3 stories of encounters? You talked about how this is your way of meeting suffering. Mm-hmm. Do you have 3 stories of encounters on the walk that really kind of still glow in your heart, or that you could share with us?
Yes, Ajahn. One of the most stood out story that people came to us with tears, mostly ladies. When they come to us and they sit down and then they cry, and they couldn't even speak. And when we try to comfort them, and then they talk, and they say that you have saved my life. And that shook me because we just walk, we didn't do anything, and we just giving some talk. How could this person say that I saved her? Things like that. Then after listening to the stories, they was about to commit to suicidal because of no hope at all in their life. Like they lost faith, they lost everything. So for them, it's like nothing left in this world. They wanted to suicide, to end their life, things like that. So when they tell me the story of how suffering they are, and I try to explain to them, to show them the path, things like that. And they was be able to stand up and walk again. Even before they come and talk with me, they already, have hope just seeing us walking online. And I ask, how is it safe you when you just see us walking online? They say that because how we walk and walking through all the difficulties, weather and challenge and things like that, but we be able to walk every day and without stopping, even though we encounter like a really big major accident and things like that. But nothing can stop us. So seeing that, giving us more hope given us more hope and inspire us to continue walking even though our life is really bad, in a really tough condition, tough everything. But just those along that can help me already. That's what they said, right? And then after listening to my share and then show them how to deal with things in life, and they're happy to take those advice and then practice on their own. Not just one, but many. But many. I can imagine within 4 months and walking 2,300 miles, and we encountered many people like that. Besides that, there are so many people saying that you have changed my life completely. That is, you can hear that everywhere, because this is something new to the people, right? We know that it's very new, because the mindset of peace to most of the people is something that we have to do for the world and do out there, and in order for us to have peace, for the world peace. And that is when people come to me and say, Venerable, sir, for me, peace is totally, different what I understand for a long time. Peace is like this and like that. And when I heard about world peace, that's why I rushed to come here to see you. And then when I came here to see you, now that all those already gone, because now I understand your message, your goal is not for the world peace, but for my own peace, for everybody's own peace. That is how we start, how we begin with peace, to bring that peace to the world. So now that I realize totally different, and this is something that I really need. Right? So those stories, and then stories of the people who have lost their family members, they couldn't even, move on. Because if they lost their loved ones, their children, and they just be in sorrow for years after year, I can't imagine they cannot move on after so many years. And not just one person, but many people like that. And that is when I sum up my talk. I talk about, how to overcome the difficulties of being, losing your family members and things like that. Seeing, when I talk about that, they start to cry. They start to cry a lot, but they realize the fact. They realize the truth. And some of the people, they also bring their own children's ashes out in a like, what do you call the casket? Urn, the urn, and ask for a blessing and ask us to, to help, and for them to let go of that too. And some also give us like a small pouch of ashes, their children, to take to the Washington D.C. as well. Many. And so all those stories show me that, people are really in the deeply suffer, but they don't know how to overcome it, how to get out of it, and where to start. They really don't. Yeah. And so we are very grateful to listen to all those stories and to listen to their feelings, and we put ourselves in them to feel how they felt, right? And so that is why we be able to help them to let go of all those, to stand up again and to let go of those sorrow, and to continue moving on to live for those who already passed away. And I still didn't realize, I didn't know why, this walk have touched so many souls. I didn't know that why, where, and how it touched so many people like that.
Bhante, yeah, your movement is very powerful. And, a lot of the people here in Seattle who come to our gatherings regularly, they would say that they were following you every single day, and that they would just see you, or they would even see Aloka, and, just tears come up. And we've met at least one person who similarly, was on the verge of suicide, but just learning about your movement that was enough to say, okay, if he can do it, I can keep going as well. And I feel like part of, it is literally your movement. And I think part of what makes your movement so powerful is the mindfulness that you bring to the walking that you do. And, Ajahn Nisabo and I have each done several tudongs. And it's a very different thing, at least in my experience, to practice as we do in the Thai forest tradition. All of our huts have a walking meditation path, and we'll just go back and forth for hours and hours and hours every day. And it's very easy when you're kind of on this 20-foot walking path and there's no cars going by, you're just alone by yourself, to watch the breath or to say a mantra with every footstep. But I'm curious, when I've tried to actually take that, without hundreds or thousands of people, with just me and one other monk, even then it's hard to stay with the breath when you've got cars going by you at 50 miles an hour. And I'm curious if you could speak a little bit more to the specifics of that mindfulness practice. Thich Nhat Hanh has an interesting way of doing walking meditation, which has never worked for me, but it's actually syncing up the breath with the footsteps. But you're going so fast. I mean, 30 miles a day, that would be hyperventilating with the breath. But so how are you practicing mindfulness in the breath at the beginning? And then later on, when the movement, started gathering momentum and gathering other people, how did that shift your meditation object? Did it shift it to love or spaciousness or just community, or, the specifics of meditation? Would love to hear about that.
Yes, Ajahn. Me, myself, that I didn't get a chance to learn about late Venerable Thich Nhat Hanh. I didn't get a chance to learn more about him. But I do heard that he have done a lot of things, a lot of work for the Buddhists, especially to the Mahayana traditions, and he is Mahayana tradition. And along this path, I also heard people talk about him. And one step, what they call, one step, something. Every step. I heard people telling me that. And so sometimes they wrote it on the board saying that Thich Nhat Hanh peace in every step, things like that. And so for me, when people also ask about this question, how can you practice mindfulness when we walk? And especially some day that we walk very fast. That is when you listen to the Venerable monks here, and Venerable Pannakara is walk for peace, but we have to run for peace because they have to chase after me, right? And especially when those days when we walk 30 miles per day, if you can imagine, people come out 6-7 hours to wait for us to arrive for a talk. They come out and they stay there for 6-7 hours to wait for us to come and talk, because they don't know when we arrive, right? So they just come out, and along the road, people just standing there. I ask, how long have you standing here? About 4 or 5 hours. But they willing to come out regardless of the weather. And so when those things, when people keep telling me that they have been waiting for a long time and things like that, that is when I told the team, we need to walk faster. When there's no people to greet and to talk and things like that, we need to walk faster, especially when the sun sets. We need to get there early, as soon as possible. Why? Because it's dangerous. Secondly, not many people can see us. Right? And so third, there are so many people waiting for us there at the night rest. So we don't want them to wait for a long time. Knowing that they stand in the cold to wait for us, that is very, very bad condition, and they have to stay there for a long time. They probably haven't eaten anything too. That's why we always rush to get there. And so for those times when I speed up, the whole team have to speed up. And when I slow down, the whole team slow down and get to rest. And that is when they show us smiles on their face because we get to. And so how can we focus when we walk and then even walk fast? And I told the crowd that when you practice mindfulness long enough, when you live with that in every moment, then it really doesn't matter how fast you walk or how slow you walk. You still be able to focus in that. Right? For me, just the breathing. When I see people greet, and I switch with this to the greeting, to talk with the people, and then after I pass, come back to here. That's what I focus on. And amazingly, that even when I walk fast, I still be able to focus in my breath. And my team, there's monks that also practice on the breathing when walk. But for most of the monks, they just focus on their steps. So just step like that. They still can concentrate on that. And I believe that is the reason why and how we be able to walk for that far and that long is because of mindfulness can give us energy to walk. That cultivates some energy for it to walk. And we be able to practice mindfulness, on the walking for that many days and that long of mileage. So it is really doesn't matter how fast or how slow we walk, but it does matter when there's a lot of car going on high speed. There's days that we walk on the road where it's very narrow, on a highway, very narrow road, and the very narrow shoulder that we can walk on. And so when we see car passing in front, it's okay. We be able to manage everything. But when car from behind, I cannot control everything, then that is when I feel uneasy. That is when the mindfulness is just going everywhere to the back. My mind is to the front, my mind to the back, and my mind to this person and to that person. Because, being a leader, you have to understand that you have to be everywhere. Because you don't want anything to happen to any of the team, especially after the accident, right? And you more cautious about, things going around. And that is when sometimes I cannot focus on my breath anymore when we walk like that, especially at nighttime. But by the time when we get a lot of police and sheriff to escort us, those are the time when I be able to focus more because I don't have to worry too much because they block the whole road, front, the side, the back. So what they did is, they have front officer and then the side officer and then the back officer, but way back officers as well to block the traffic all the way, far away behind. It's not just right behind us, but far away behind. That give us more peace of mind to walk. That is the time when I be able to get back on track when we have a lot of support from the officers.
One day the fact that your speed was motivated by kind of really not wanting to make people wait and keeping people safe, I find just quite actually touching. And you spoke about the accident with Ajahn Mahadam, where he, eventually had to have the lower half of his leg amputated. Would you talk about that? Just like what were the echoes of it? I know I've heard him speaking about it and noting that was a bit of a turning point for the pilgrimage in terms of how much people were there following it as well. But I'm curious, what reactions, how did it happen, and what reactions did you see in him, in you, and how has it echoed since?
And we will probably actually interview him in person in the coming weeks. Yeah,
I see. Yeah, Ajahn Mahadam is he's very mindful on his actions and his thoughts. And so when that happened, I had the feelings already. That's why I wanted to stop. It's not far away from our night rest. It's like 20 more minutes of walking. That's it. But driving is like 2 minutes away. And so I just keep thinking that, it's something gonna happen. And I was about to stop, and then the loud noise coming all the way from behind us and hit. And that is when everything just sadder. And then I rushed to come to Ajahn Mahadam. Before I talk with him, I have to control the traffic using our flashlight, our headlights, to control the traffic, to ask people to slow down, but they still rushing and moving really fast. And that is where one more accident on the side of us too, because of people applying the brake, because all those pieces on the roads. And then when I be able to manage the traffic, they all stop. And I come to Ajahn Mahadam and hold his head, and I ask him. He lies face down. And I ask him, Ajahn, you okay? And he responded. He say, I'm okay. And I say, continue breathing. Focus on your breath, okay? Because right that moment, without that, then he just only feel pain because it's really bad, right? But he said, yes, I am focusing on my breath right now. That is what his response. So he was very calm, no noise, no cry, no nothing. He told me after that, he thinking that he was about to die, but he was be able to stay calm. He didn't cry. He didn't yell. He didn't, call for help or anything. He just cultivate on his breath at that moment. And I told him continue doing that until the support comes, the medic and everybody comes to help him. And then when we be able to take him to the hospital, and knowing that he is safe and he is going to treat his leg and everything, then we start to continue our journey 2 days after to make sure that everybody is been well taken care of. And then we continue our journey. Before that and after that, he talked with me over the phone in Zoom call. He said that I will have to amputate it. I'll have to cut it off because the doctor saying that it will be difficult to walk again, even though, and it might not be able to heal. And a lot of surgery after the first one, not just one surgery, many. And so he decided to cut it off. And he said that I'm happy to offer this leg for the waffle piece. And I'm happy to offer it to the Buddha Sasana. That's what he said. And that also touched all of us, that he have a very strong mind, strong decision, and willing to offer to the waffle piece to bring peace to the people and to the Buddha Sasana to support more people and to spread Buddha Sasana. And so that is the story about him. And then after he got his leg amputated, and then all my teachers and all other monks are taking care of him, moved him back to Georgia. And then we met again in Georgia when we arrived to his temple. And then he be able to go to Washington, D.C. with us too, to join the last segment, which he already told us that he will meet us there regardless. And he was there. He was there with us in Washington, D.C. for the last few days. And now I believe he's about to get his artificial leg put in. So I think he's almost ready. It's still a little bit hurt, but not that bad like before. And his life is peaceful and happy.
Spoke with his attendant just yesterday, and they were just on the way to the hospital to get the prosthetics fitted.
I see.
Bhante, I think, thank you for sharing that story. That's very, very inspiring. And, we're not in the thick of the news, reading the news from multiple channels all the time. But I think when I first learned about your walk, I was also tracking that there were other, types of movements going on in America, like specifically a lot of stories about people protesting ICE or protesting, there was protests going on all over the country, but especially, a number of civilians or people getting shot by police, and a lot of uproar and just rage really at signs of authority. And I remember one of the first things before I heard you ever speak was just seeing actually some of these badges on your robe, and that it would, okay, it's this is the symbol that a sheriff, may have given you, or multiple sheriffs, multiple police departments and fire departments. And I remember following you after that and just seeing what a different way to protest, seeing images of people, and you had a lot of people upset about legitimately upsetting things. And then the way that they feel like they have to express that in other settings is through yelling and screaming at other humans, or even like spitting, and just the rage coming out in this one way in that setting, but then coming down to where you are and seeing a very different image. You're interacting with police who are bowing to you, or who are offering food, and that you never really stoked the fires of it. It's not us versus them, but it's all of us walking for peace together. And that was very striking. And I was impressed that you were, as far as I could tell, able to keep that up. And so I'd like to ask you how you held all that. I imagine people are telling you about this and wanting you to respond. Like, what do you think about the protests? And did you consider your walk a protest? Or how are you holding all of this, your relationship with authority, and what you're either, walking towards or walking against?
Yes, Sachin. One of the followers, visitors, she came from a different state, just came to the temple last week. She talked with me. She said that she was urged to see me, and she have to see me. And then she missed me last time when she came here, and then she flew here again, and she met with me last week and talked. And so she says she is one of the protesters. She have done a lot of protest. And all of those are like breakdowns after seeing the peace walk. She didn't realize that there's the way to raise our voice, just doing something like the monks have done. It's very peaceful, touching, not just to the civilians, but to the government officials, to the police and everybody. And by doing that, we actually can seek for something that we really want, instead of going out there and shout and yell and then put a lot of hate energy into the universe. That is why my talk that I always talk, instead of spreading hate and anger to the universe, that will create more troubles and create more problems to the world. We just spread loving kindness and compassion and peace to the universe. That is why we say, and today is going to be my peaceful day. Every morning, just spread that message to the universe and live throughout the day, be mindful with it, and, compassionate and loving kindness. If we can do that, the world will be changed, because we've been receiving a lot of disasters here and there, everywhere nowadays, and it's getting larger and larger, right? Is because we always react, we always put in all those hateful things into the universe. Killings, destroying forests and everything, right? So the universe return with anger, with different kind of disasters. So now if we want to change that, we should spread loving kindness instead of hate. It's also spread but loving kindness instead of hate. And that universe, when it receives it, it will shower back down with peace, with loving kindness and compassion, just like we do, right? It requires a lot of effort and a lot of people doing this in order for this world to be changed. We've been protest many decades, generation after generations. And we all already understand why and how people did that, right? It's because they want to raise their voice, because they want to have freedom and things like that. And that's nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with it. It's just when I take on this journey as a Buddhist monk, we already know our Buddha said, anything related to the king, royal, anything related to the government, let the government handle it. Anything that related to the monks, only two things: practice and study. You just focus on your practice and your study. Because our Buddhists, we talk about loving kindness and compassion towards all beings. We shouldn't go out there and do any type of protest to ask for this and that. That is the rule of the Buddhist monks already, right? It's in the Vinaya. We cannot do all those things. We just focus on our practice and share that to all beings. And I learned from that, and I continue with this walk without anything related to politics. Nothing whatsoever. No religious, no politics, purely just peace. And we will be able to raise that awareness to millions and millions of people around the world in a very short time. 4 months, that is short to get that much of followers and much of people supporting, right? That proves that this walk for peace is the result of it is very powerful and is positive, and people believe in it, right? That is when you can see during this walk, we have no sign, no banners, nothing. Just one of the Walk for Peace flag. That's it. Some people, they have sign to walk with us, even though those signs are nothing major with those signs, but they also put it down when we ask them to. So it's really peace to do that together, but our voice can reach far to the White House, to all the government officials. As we can see, many governors come out or even write the proclamation to present it to us. And sheriff, chief of police, fire department, patrol, SWAT, they all coming out for us to support us. And all those pins, when we mention about those pins, there's people didn't realize why I carry so much pin. Is it heavy, or I want to be, to show off with all that, or what? As a monk, I shouldn't do all that. That's what people said. But they cannot understand my intention, right? My intention was so just simple that I have heard many stories about civilians with police. They are like water and fire. They cannot live together. They don't respect. And so when the sheriff and the police pin on my Sangati with their pins, I keep on it. I kept it without removing it, because this walk is to unite everyone together, to bring everyone together. And that's why I declare in my talk, I said, my mission is not just for the civilians, but all government officials. Everyone must hear this. I will not exclude anyone, regardless of their backgrounds. That's what I said. And so I keep all those pins on to show the people that sheriffs, police officers, all of these agents, they also want peace. They support this walk for peace. the fact is they coming out, even chief, even sheriff, they coming out and support us every day, right? Every day, and they hand us to the next county department, very, very professionally, make sure that we are safe. And so when walk like that, many people say, "Thank you, officer. Thank you, officers." The police say, "Venerable Pannakara, you hear that? We have never heard this before." But now that people say thanks to the officers because we are supporting you guys and for the peace mission. So you have brought all of us together, all communities and all families and neighbors together just for this walk, just a simple movement, which is walk. And that's why I said, if we can do it, anything peacefully like this, we can definitely change a lot, change the world. Because with one belief, with one mission that everybody are working together and to spread only loving kindness, I believe that it will be much better result in the future. Because everybody needs peace. Because we go against them. That is why they want to return with something, right? Now we also go against them, but in a peaceful way. We don't criticize them. We don't say that, oh, they are so wrong or they are so rude or what or anything like that. But we just show them, we need peace. They also need peace. Everybody needs peace. So if we can show everybody the path, peacefully the peace path like that, I think that, people would love to join in. All the government officials love to join in because they eliminate all the headaches, right? We also eliminate our headaches. They also eliminate the headaches because spending so much time in the heat and out there to shout and to yell and to raise our voice waste a lot of energy in our energy. Me, when I walk, I talk every day like that. I waste a lot of energy, to be honest with you. And I didn't know where I get all those energy to talk every day like that, all day long. And I know when we talk a lot, we waste a lot of energy. And so, with this walk for peace, it is purely just for peace. And it does, support all kind of backgrounds. So I truly hope that, all the people, all the beings will continue with this walk to raise our voice and to change the world together. And I think it worked.
One day, I know we're going to have to let you go pretty soon, but for me, there's such an interesting difference in language between the word vigil and the word protest, and just how you held that, the Buddhist teaching that hatred is never stilled through hatred. This is eternal law. Mm-hmm. And I just remember, we're very careful not to speak about politics in our Dharma talks and to keep it open for everyone. And just every time I would see images of you and how you've held this, the sense of how much you've aligned with the ethos, which has, steered our lives. It felt like seeing just such another son of the Buddha. And that recognition was such a kind of quite heartening for us to see in you. And, we could just, if we met, we would just know exactly how to interact. And that was the case, just since the beginning of this interview. And that you're carrying that same message. And I kind of wanted to bring things back to that shared root that we both have, and just quickly asking you about your relationship to the Triple Gem. So I wanted to ask about, what your relationship is to the Buddha. What does he mean in your heart? I wanted to ask for your favorite sutta for the Dhamma. And I wanted to ask for the foremost disciple that you most relate to, Venerable Ananda or Venerable Mahakassapa. So can I get the Venerable Pannakara Triple Gem for the audience?
For me, after I ordained, people ask me, have I had a second thought since I ordained? I say no. I never regret to walk on this path. So for me to believe in the teachings of the Buddha, which we already know that he's not the one who created everything, but he found everything to show us the path that is already there, right? And so that is the nature. And I can sacrifice my life for this because I know it helped me, changed me completely. And it did for me to use all that and to practice all that and then to share all that to the people, especially this waffle piece. So it did change so many lives. And for me to, with the triple gems, I believe it's not just a belief, but I'm all about the teachings of his. And I'm willing to sacrifice my life. That is why I decided to build the Chethiya project. It's because his teaching, his profound, everything is just, it's so true that we don't even, talk about or have a second thought about his teachings. Of course, they have to be truth, right? We have to learn the truth, Dhamma. And so I'm willing to sacrifice my life to build this Chethiya project to preserve his teachings for the future generations. That tells enough how strong am I to the triple gems already. And so for the Sangha, I really don't have anyone in my mind since I started to ordain that, I look up to be admired or to follow his path, like Venerable Ananda or Venerable Mahakassapa or anything like that. I never thought of it until today you ask. This is the first time that you raised that question in me. And so let me think about it.
Your answer was good.
But I am curious, like on the opposite side of that was a great answer and a great question about our faith in Buddhism. But what you mentioned, and another thing I was impressed with, you say on the walk, no politics and no religion. And I did see a number of videos on YouTube, with the thumbnail or the title, Southern Christians flip out at Buddhist monks, or like, Christians explode and melt down. And I did see some of these videos where there are you're not protesting, but they're counter protesting with a sign that says, Jesus is one, and they're coming with this energy that you're trying to convert people. And one video in particular was quite impressed. Like, I would just try to walk way around, like, okay, you can have your thing and I'm just going to walk way around. Whereas you actually, in one video at least, just got closer and to actually engage with some of these people. And just curious, what was your take? I mean, Buddhism is awesome because you don't have to lean into the religiosity of it. But what did you think when there are these people who are assuming that you're trying to be, convert people to Buddhism? How did you relate to such people?
That group is not the only. There are several groups that protest us, but they just stay where they are and they don't follow us. But only this group follow us all the way to Washington, D.C. He declared that if you don't turn to Jesus Christ, I will follow you from now every day until your final destinations. And by that declaration, I thought, he probably the Devadatta now. And I thought in my mind that like that, and I smile. And when I see him, when he raised, I have to be to tell you the truth that I admire his speaker. When we had a very small speaker similar to his speaker, without my speaker, when I talk, not many people can hear. But his speaker, when I walk far away to enter into our lunch place and night rest, I can hear his voice clearly far away. His speaker. I was like, I need to ask him what brand of his speaker. I need to buy it from him. In my mind, I thought about it and I laughed. Venerable Pannakara, turn to Christ, turn to Jesus. Jesus is the only way. And then I just keep smiling at him and then continue my walk and walk through him in front of him, regardless of what he said. And this time that I handed him flowers, he refused. This time I handed him water. Look, it's hot. Okay, here's water. Take some drink. He said, no, I'm not going to take your water. And I say, why not? This is an open bottle. You can have it, and then you can talk. Okay. And he still refused it. And the other person who stand behind, he asked for it. So I gave it to that person. And so for me, looking at him, I feel sorry for him. It's because all of his words are just very toxic and very bad for him, because we know karma. He said Buddha cannot do anything to you. Buddha will lead you all to hell and things like that. He says all that things. And when I heard about it, I asked myself, where he's gonna go? Where he's gonna go? And so I continue with my walk and I pray, may you be well, be happy, and be peaceful. And I know that he will never stop. He will never stop because he already decided to follow us. So one day he came to me and sit down, and I asked him, sit down, let us have a talk. And I asked him to have a tea with me. And then when we sit down and talk, and he talk about Jesus Christ and I talk about Buddha. And when he asked, I said, I'm not here to protest. I'm not here to convert anybody. You listen to my talk. Peace. Unless you don't want people to have peace. That's it. And after a chit chat, and I told him, look, whatever I told you, this is our last conversation. I will never say a word to you from here on. And from that moment on, I never said anything to him, regardless of what he said, what he done. I just walk without looking at him, without talking to him every day, just like that. And I feel so bad for him that he have to suffer with his karma later on. And I believe that he is suffer enough. That is why he said the thing he said. He done the thing he done. So that is why I don't want to add any more to him, right? And all his question, all his saying is very easy to combat. But then why would we do that? When I talk about peace, when I talk about mindfulness, and what the funny thing is, when I talk and he talk louder with his speaker, and that is the time when I see, okay, this is a time when you use all your practice to prove to yourself that you be able to stay calm and you be able to focus on your topic. And so when I talk about that and I think about, my practicing, and I see myself, okay, nothing gonna bother me. Even he talk louder than me, it's okay. I still be able to focus on my topic to talk to the people. That is the time I could prove to myself that, okay, all those time when I practice now, I can use it, and it works. About mindfulness, concentrating on one thing at a time. That's what I talk to the people. That will be odd if I cannot focus at that time, right? When I tell people you have to be focused on your breathing or focus on one thing at a time, do not multitask anymore. And then when he talked, when he yelled, and then I got distracted, and that will be odd to the people. But luckily I didn't. I'd be able to focus on my topic, still continue with that. And throughout the journey, I have done that, proven to myself that I can do that. I'm capable to focus on my topic. And at those times, for the rest of the journey until Washington D.C. and he got arrested, which we never expected that turn out. But karma, I strongly believe in karma. So they got arrested at the last segment in Washington, D.C.
Bhante, we know you have to receive people for the meal. But just maybe as a final note, first we might be able to find that speaker and send you a version of it if we can. But also we'll link in the description to the Dhamma Chethiya project. And also, we hope we get to visit you. We hope we get you to visit us, and that this is the start of a friendship. And we honor so much what you've given the world through your faith and care, and just even getting to talk to you this morning was such a blessing. Thank you so much, Bhante, for everything. And would you be able to call Aloka up here for our final goodbye?
Aloka. Aloka, come. Okay, no.
Do you have a final message for those listening?
Yes, Sachin. So I wish that all of us and all the people who listen into our talk can take this into action. Today is going to be my peaceful day. That is the message that I share everywhere. And just by doing so, be mindful with that every day, everything we do. Why that message is so powerful to so many people is because during the day when they encounter problems, so that message reminds them that today is going to be my peaceful day. Why would I react? Why would I react? And why would I say this? Why would I do that? That is the thing it reminds them the most. And that is why they write that down everywhere. Now that I have seen many arts created about that statement, today is going to be my peaceful day. And so if we be able to stay focused and work on that throughout the day, our day will be peaceful and much better. So I hope that all of us will practice that way, and to spread loving kindness and compassion to the world, so that our world will be a better place for all beings to live.
Thank you, Bhante.
Thank you so much, Venerable, to give me a chance to talk today with you, and then to share with the audience. Hopefully that we can meet in person one day.
It's wonderful to have a new brother. We hope you enjoyed this second portion of our 2-interview series with Bhante Pannakara. If you haven't seen part 1, the link is in the description to this video and should be popping up on the screen soon.